Hey everyone, Clayton King here for another episode of Wisdom Wednesdays. Happy you're here joining us. And today we're going to be talking about a term that you'll hear retail brokers and professionals in the retail real estate space refer to quite often, and that is trade area. So first, let's start out with defining what a trade area is. Well, it's pretty simple in definition. It's basically the geographic area in which a consumer will travel in order to purchase or consume retail goods and services. So a question that we often get from retailers that we're touring with or buyers that are looking at a specific asset to purchase is, how big is this trade area that this specific location is servicing? And our answer to that, like most things in commercial real estate, is it really depends. And the largest driving factor behind how large or how big a trade area is how dense and how competitive that retail climate is. So for instance, in Albuquerque, a larger metro that has a very dense population and a very competitive climate, your trade areas are going to be a lot smaller just because that consumer has to travel a pretty short distance in order to consume services and goods, versus a rural market like a Farmington, a Gallup, or a Roswell. Those trade areas can sometimes extend and expand, sometimes hundreds of miles, because a lot of those surrounding communities do not have any retail services or goods at all. So those consumers have to travel into those rural markets in order to consume, again, those products. So it really depends on the density within a market and the competitive climate within that market as well. Well, let's talk a little bit more about how trade areas are crafted and shaped within a market, and specifically a more urban market. So in Albuquerque here, where it's pretty dense, trade areas will be defined and shaped based off both psychological and also physical barriers. So in our market, again, we have interstates that create boundaries of certain trade areas for consumers within our markets. We have natural barriers such as rivers and river crossings and mountains and petroglyphs that shape how the market is laid out and how that trade area and that consumer shops. So again, there's psychological, and then there's also physical barriers that often shape how a consumer travels within that market and what really makes and shapes that trade area. Hey, thanks again so much for joining us today on this episode of Wisdom Wednesday. As always, we're thankful that you're able to take some time to connect with us here, and we hope you found this information of value. If you did, please, by all means, share it with a family member, a friend, or a colleague. We're making this content in order to empower the commercial real estate community, really anywhere, but specifically in New Mexico. So we hope you're enjoying this content. If you have any further questions on commercial real estate or trade areas, feel free to head over to our website, or you can follow us on any of our social platforms. And if you are looking for a lot of valuable commercial real estate content, you can also tune into my podcast, the CRE Project podcast. We sit down with industry leaders within the commercial real estate space and talk about their lessons learned. So that's very, very valuable information, and you can tune in there to enhance your knowledge in the commercial real estate space. So again, thanks for joining us today. And until next time, I'm Clayton King, and we will see you on the next episode.